Welcome back. And this time we are going to be doing the cloth brush. So let's go ahead and jump into Blender. I'm using the new Alpha 2.92. So you may not see some of these brushes, but if you do, let's get going. So we'll do new file general and let's save it as. We'll just call it cloth. And let's set up Suzanne for some sculpting, add our matte caps and add some multi-resolution. This one, I'm going to just do 5. So the cloth brush today is pretty heavy on your computer. So if you have a slower computer, you may just want to watch or just kind of follow along at a lower resolution, but the details will come in when you have a higher subdivision count. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's do Control Tab down and switch into sculpt mode. And let's find that cloth brush. It's going to be way down here at the bottom. There it is. Looks like a little hanky. So just click on the cloth brush. Notice we've got the radius and the strength set to 1, no plus and minus. And inside of our tools over here, we've got a bunch of new stuff. We've got set persistent base, which we've seen before on the layer brush. So that will set the permanent layer if you want to do that, and then just click on persistent. But what we're going to talk about mostly today are these scary looking attributes down here. So let's go ahead and jump into the cloth brush. So notice when you first start dragging your brush along any surface, it's got the inner circle where the actual clothing brush technique is going to be applied, but the outer circle is how far out it can do its cloth damage or, add cloth effects. So now if you click and drag on the top of the head, it's going to start pulling Suzanne's head here as if it is cloth. So this is a really fun one. It's really fun just to make like little wrinkles and stuff. And you can notice that since my outer circle is very small, you can see the fall off around this brush here. It's very circular. So if we increase the size, notice we're also increasing the outer circle here. So the outer circle is ginormous. So let's just crank it down just a little bit, somewhere in there, so that the outer circle is about the size of Suzanne. And then if you click and drag, you can really do some fun deformations really quickly. I mean, this brush is just so much fun. It's very slow, but is pretty cool with what it can do. So if you have a very, very, very fast computer, this will be a fun one for you. And you can just keep going over the same spot as much as you want. And obviously, if you want it to look better, you can always subdivide more, but it will get slower and slower and slower. But even that, from a 3D printing perspective, I mean, even 3D printing that or adding details like this to any of your designs is going to give it so much more pop and just mise en scène and just details, It's just all about the details. So go ahead and just click around and make a few little wrinkles. It's very fun to make Suzanne look like an old rubbery monkey. But what else you can do with this is go into your tools, and under deformation, you can do drag. That's the one we've been doing. It's just kind of dragging the material along. We can also do push, which is really cool. You can push in the geometry. So just click and drag. And notice it's slowly going to start pushing in the top of her head there. And look at that. That looks so cool. That's like something just landed on her head, and her head is like a soft little like pillow toy or something. I mean, it just looks amazing, and it was so easy to do. Then you've also got pinch point. So that's just going to pinch wherever you are at the point. So just click and drag, and it's going to like pinch everything in towards your brush. So if you want to like crunch some fabric together like that, it's just going to pinch it all together, pinch it in. And then we have pinch perpendicular. So it's similar to the last pinch, but it's going to do it in a different direction. It's going to be perpendicular. So there you go. It's actually, I'm going up and down here, but it's pushing on the top and the bottom to kind of make this cool little pinch. And then you've got inflate, which is essentially the opposite of this one. So if we do it on the back of the head here, and just click, kind of drag around there, you can notice it's starting to really start to bulbous up. There we go. So there we go. We got a nice little bump, like something's coming up out of the bottom of the cloth there, or some pressure, or some tension around there. So that's cool. Or maybe, you need somebody to have like a bump or a bruise. You've got a swelling with a bunch of little lines, all kinds of stuff. Then we've got the grab. So that's going to be similar to the first one we did, but it's just going to try and grab the cloth and really push it. So notice I just barely clicked and made a super extreme cloth deformation there. Maybe have to smooth some of that out, but that is pretty awesome. Even if you just click and drag maybe the ear a little bit, it's pretty strong. So with the grab, you probably want to take it down, maybe even 0.5, just so it's not as strong. It's very intense cloth grab. So you can see there, that looks much better. You can see where I started to pull and it crunched and crinkled all this. And then we've got expand, which is just going to push the cloth away and kind of getting it tighter to wherever your brush is. So crank that back up to 1. So it's kind of pushing it out and trying to, and causing ripples and kind of wrinkles around the edge, almost like some water. And then you've got your snake hook. And so the snake hook, I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller and just move down the head here, almost like an S shape. And notice it just kind of, you can see my line a little bit right here through it. So that's just going to let you kind of like, bend and morph just kind of in curvy shapes with the S hook. So you can do radial, and that just applies the deformation in a spherical shape, or you can do plane, and that applies the deformation in a kind of flat, planar way. So just depending on what you're trying to do, I'm just going to leave mine on radial. And there's all different types. We could go on for days inside for this brush, but essentially you're just adding simple cloth deformations, just like you would in real life, onto your brushes with using all these different deformation types. So really play around with this one. This one's just so much fun and super heavy on your computer, but very worth it. So just see if you can get some wrinkles on Suzanne or make her look like a teddy bear or something. So once you are done with the cloth brush, then let's jump into the next brush, which is Simplify.